Hello everybody, today I'm going to be talking about the 1.5 year anniversary selector and what cards that you should consider using it on. Keep in mind that the 1.5 year anniversary only had one copy of the SSR selector. There is no paid shop, so you will only have one selector for the support cards. Starting from the second year anniversary onwards, you can pay $20 pack or a $70 pack to get up to 2 SSR scout tickets and also 2 scout tickets of your choice. So that's something to keep in mind. Everybody in the 1.5 year anniversary only will get one selector. That's pretty much it. If you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing and consider joining the community server, and let's start with the video. Firstly, you have a question to ask yourself. Am I going to be polling on the either banner, being Summer Maruzensky rerun banner with fine motion, or the Mr. CB alongside Super Creek rerun banner? If the answer is yes, then you should consider saving your selector until you finish saving and then consider from there. Do not use the selector until you finish pulling. That's pretty much it when it comes to pulling on the rerun banners. Next up, what do you need the most? Let's say you have 3 limit break Kitasan Black. I will probably prioritize using the selector on Kitasan Black. Oh, I want to be a League of Heroes player, while also using other strategies in Champions Meeting. For example, if you are an end closer player, but want to play League of Heroes as a front, then Summer Maruzensky is a good choice for you. Mr. CB, of course, if you are looking for a very strong stat stick, or you are an end closer player. Super Creek is the best stamina card, and this card can be used for a very long time until like the 9th scenario, where Air Shaker stamina is going to be released, which is a direct upgrade to Super Creek. And then you have Fine Motion. Fine Motion does have less value, unfortunately, compared to the first year anniversary and the 0.5 year anniversary respectively, because we are coming closer to the release of Major Romano Wit. Kitasan Black. Kitasan Black is the strongest generic speed card in the game and will still be used until the release of El Condor Pasa Speed, which is an estimate release of an April 2027. This card is the strongest speed card again, and you will still have it for a very long time. This is about 8 to 9 months worth of relevancy for Kitasan Black. So I would highly recommend using your selector on Kitasan Black and try to get her from there. Next up is Summer Maruzensky Speed. Summer Maruzensky Speed is mostly a front runner card, but you can use this card alongside Agastekian and Kitasan Black in the Grand Life scenario, and this card does have some universal hints. I'm going to be talking about her hints later, but in general, Summer Maruzensky for the most part is a front runner card that can be used with other strategies, since this card is a strong stat stick. As for Summer Maruzensky, one of her good bonuses is that on a high roll run, you can actually get a plus 15 bond from here and another plus 15 bond over here. So you will actually end up getting plus 30 bond relatively nicely from Summer Maruzensky. This allows her to have her friendship training much quicker if these events triggered earlier. As for the gold skill is Top Runner, which is the gold version of Leader's Pride. This is a very strong gold skill. As for her hints, at 4 limit break, you get 2 hint levels instead of 1 hint level, which means that you can cap a skill at 2 hint clicks instead of 3 when it comes to Summer Maruzensky. As for her hints, universally, you can use Summer Runner, Slipstream, and Playtime's Over, since the Grand Life scenario 4 out of the 6 champions meeting is Summer Runner, and this is a very strong green skill, and ideally you want to have it. Slipstream is a very strong skill. Playtime's Over is also a very strong skill. For Pace Chasers, you can technically also get value from groundwork, and Focus has a coping mechanism to trigger groundwork if you did not get enough greens. Otherwise, if you're a frontrunner player, you also get the additional benefit of Ella Lead, frontrunner straights, frontrunner corners, and leader's pride. So overall, very strong lineup, and universally, it has 3 good skills out of 10. And also, she has 5 skills in total for Pace Chasers and 9 out of 10 for frontrunners. So very strong. Another reason to Selector Maruzensky is that you could potentially be looking at it from a League of Heroes perspective. League of Heroes comes out in the middle of Grandmasters, and this card can be used for the first 5 League of Heroes, which is very strong. League of Heroes heavily advertises you to use frontrunner characters since they have the most likelihood to win, and the NPCs there are relatively hard, and if you are looking at it to get as much amount of score, frontrunner is the best strategy. So you could technically use a Selector and a Crystal to get 1 limit break, so that the basic principles for Maruzensky is on, and you can use other strategies for Champions Meeting, and for League of Heroes you can play frontrunners. Next up is Mr. CB. Mr. CB is a very interesting card because technically you can use it as a front, pace, or a late player once Major Romano comes out. It just comes down to your personal preference. I'm going to be comparing here with Fine Motion, but in general, Fine Motion plus Major Romano is better in most cases. However, there is some cases where CB can be argued against Fine Motion. As for the enclosers, you want this card to be maximum break for you to not be that far behind when it comes to width generation. Because this card with Major Romano at 1 limit break is slightly weaker or noticeably weaker compared to maximum break and 3 limit break. As you can clearly see, the jump from 1 limit break to 3 limit break is essentially the same jump compared from 3 limit break to max limit break. However, the gap is actually much bigger. As you can clearly see, the gap from 1 limit break Mr. CB at max limit break Mr. CB is very noticeable. You get much more width, you get more speed, only 1 plus speed, but if she goes to your speed training, you get a lot of extra speed from there. And the SP. The SP difference is very high. If you have been playing with Mr. CB a lot, you know how strong 1 skill point bonus is. Especially if you have been playing with Hyrora and Mr. CB, and both of them get on the same training, you realize, wait, I get pretty much a G2 race worth of SP just from clicking this training. It's very strong. Here is a comparison for Mr. CB and Fine Motion. Mr. CB does give you less width, but in turn gives you more speed and more SP on average. On my opinion, it just comes down to your personal preference. Because if your Uma is a width bonus Uma and no speed growth rate, then you could consider using Mr. CB just so that you can get slightly more speed compared to Fine Motion. Plus the added benefit where you could get some good hints off of Mr. CB, like corner recovery from the second chain and tail held high from one of her hints. So again, it comes down to your personal preference. Next up is going to be Super Creek. Super Creek is going to be, in my opinion, the best aging card in the game, because you can technically skip every single stamina card until Airshaker Stamina, which is going to be released around the 9th scenario. Right now we are in the 4th scenario once the Selector is live, so technically speaking she has a really long longevity. And the first card to compete with Super Creek is going to be Sounds of Earth. Technically speaking, Sounds of Earth is better on paper, but Super Creek can still be usable until Earthshaker, where Earthshaker just is Super Creek but just better. Sounds of Earth is estimated to be released around June 2027. Pretty much 11 months from now, which is very, very, very strong. Why do I say 11 months? Because the Selector is probably going to be live on July. Another thing to consider is that are you going to be permanently borrowing the Ancestors and Guides card? If yes, you kinda need 3 Limit Break or Maximum Break Super Creek, because 3 out of the 6 champions meeting is a medium or a long. There is a 2000 meter course, there is a 2400 meter course, and there is another one that is 3200 meters course. So in general, you can technically use Super Creek on all 3, especially with how I use Super Creek. How I use Super Creek is simply to substitute for the Stamina Sparks. As you can clearly see, this is 17 power legacy. For Mihono Bourbon, this is my Champions Meeting 13. I had about 65 out of 80 win rate. Sorry, not win rate, wins. Which translates to roughly about 82% win rate. So that is a very nice win rate. But otherwise, as you can clearly see, I did not have any, the track laser climax scenario spark itself. I only used it Super Creek. I hit about 870 stamina. This was the average that I get from Super Creek on most super runs. And with the Radiant Star and the green, I was able to achieve a very good survival rate. So you can use Super Creek to substitute for the Power Sparks, and as you can clearly see, I'm actually very, very close to capping my power. So that is something very, very strong, and something that you should always consider when building for medium or a long distance track course, is that you can use Super Creek and put your sparks elsewhere on something else. Then we have Fine Motion. Fine Motion, if you do not have her right now or at 0 limit break and you're not pulling on the Maruzensky rerun banner, then I would not be recommending you to use your Selector on Fine Motion, because Major Romano comes at the end of the Grand Life, which means that there is already a better card than Fine Motion, and then you get the style specialty cards such as Mihono Bourbon Wit, Tiamo Pro Wit, Ashton Machan Wit, Ogre Cap Wit. Then as you can clearly see, Fine Motion starts to get power crept when it comes to contribution to your deck. If you have 2 or 3 limit break Fine Motion, you could consider using the Selector, but keep in mind that this will be a short-term benefit over a long-term benefit, and ideally you use the Selector for the long-term benefit. As for these 3 cards, why not specifically these 3 cards? I think I don't need to explain why Not Abroad is a very bad option to use your Selector on. As for Nice Nature, currently she is going to be much weaker compared to usual in the Grand Life scenario, because she has a weaker stat output compared to Mr. CB and Fine Motion, and the gold skill, which is on your left, is still not buffed, and it's a very gambling acceleration skill that for the most part does not do much. And the race bonus is having a lot less value, because overall, starting from Grand Life, you just train. You rarely ever race, so the race bonus does not matter much, unfortunately. As for Fukitaru, she is extremely annoying to use in the Grand Life scenario, because if you are looking at it from making a very good ace, you actually will probably reroll a lot in the first year. or like glue a lot of the first year, because there are specific combinations that you're looking for the songs to get a lot of benefit compared to anybody else. It's some sort of RNG just to pass the checks in order to you to make a very good ace. The problem is that this card is zero specialty priority, so you would end up losing a lot of turns where this card just tries to be silly and never show up. So this card is something that I would not recommend you to use your selector on, unless you are doing parenting in Make Any Track scenario and you have 3 limit break and all the other cards are like max limit break. Then you are probably a spender or a whale, but you do you. Keep in mind that this card can still be used in parenting in the track blazer scenario. And that's pretty much it for these 3 cards. Before you use your selector, please do not use it immediately and wait until you see what you get from the free pools. There is a 0.0244% chance of you getting Maruzensky speed pure single on the Measure Romano banner. Relatively speaking, there should be about a 2.4% chance of you getting some Maruzensky and Measure Romano's banner as a spook. If you used your selector on Maruzensky and then you pull and then you get another Maruzensky, it is the worst thing that you can ever imagine. So please just wait, be patient. Who knows, maybe you can be lucky and get the card that you were going to use your selector on from the free pools, and then you can use your selector elsewhere. That's pretty much it. And please, again, do not use your selector immediately. As for overall longest value cards, I think it's probably either between Summer Maruzensky or Super Creek. It just depends on your preference. If you are going to be playing fronts for League of Heroes, which is pretty much is the only strategy or like the best strategy there, then you could use the Selector and Crystal on Summer Maruzensky, and then you can play other styles in Champions Meeting and use Summer Maruzensky at 1 limit break for your front runners in there. So that is very strong. And of course, keep in mind that if you have 3 limit break Kitasan Black, then just use your selector honor. Ignore what I'm saying. As for Super Creek is going to be the strongest card for stamina all the way until the release of the Sounds of Earth, which is going to be in the middle of Project Lark. UAF scenario, you could probably use Sound of Earth, which is going to be better than Super Creek, but Super Creek is going to still be usable until the release of Air Shocker at the 9th scenario. So overall, Creek has like pretty much 4 scenarios worth of relevancy that you can use, which of course is great. Lastly, I just want to say, this was just my recommendation. Feel free to have your own objective opinion when it comes to using your selector on which card. After all, you are responsible for your own account, and I just decided to give what I think is going to be proper advice. That's pretty much it. If you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing and consider joining the community server in the comment section, and I hope to see you in the next one.